What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. It is Jerry.
Let's
It is
slow
me.
down a bit
Hang
here.
on now. Hang on now. All right. I accidentally almost exited out StreamYards instead of the intro song. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Exposing Powerful Lies. Glad to be here. Hope you all are having a good day. We've got a great guest on today. We got David Erhan from the Orthodox Discord server and from his YouTube channel, David Erhan. I'm sure you guys know this guy already, but I was super honored that he would come on and join us today. Before we get started, please like and share. If you want to support the channel, super chat links are in the description and in the live chat. Big shout out to our people over on Patreon. We got Silouan, KF, James, Jason, Anna, Bag of Dirt. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So if you guys want to support the channel via Patreon, I really appreciate all you guys that do that. So thank you guys. And I'm just gonna bring our guest on before we get without further ado. Welcome David Erhan to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's pretty nice to be here. It's pretty nice to always visit some other channels and just discuss certain things. And I love, I think I'm really gonna enjoy the time we're gonna be spending here.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I saw I saw you recently did a video with John from Fish Tank. What was that like? I was surprised. I did not expect that because your channel, you do, for people that don't know, you do like high level theological, like really high effort, high level theological videos and stuff. And then I saw you doing a show with John from Fish Tank. I was like, that is so out of left field. What was that like?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I watched that show for like a couple days, then I kind of
Yeah,
lost interest. But like just like looking at his antics was pretty funny,
yeah,
and I found out that you could actually just like it wasn't that difficult to invite him on, and I was just like, hey, why don't I just have him on? Just like let him say a couple of words and just listen to him speak. And it's just yeah, I usually don't in like have a lot of people on or like go to other people's channels that often. Not
yeah,
because I don't want to, it's just because I'm focused on a lot of different stuff.
yeah.
I just don't have the time to like schedule this stuff as well. But that's mostly due to laziness. So
Right,
it just kind of happened. And John was nice enough to kind of like just respond. And like he I reached out to him and he reached out to me as well, and we just kind of like decided, okay, we can do it at this time and we can just talk about XYZ topics. And I think it was fun. I think it was just kind of like a conversation between two dudes more than like an actual
Yeah.
stream. But I think that's
Well,
cool.
he
That's
definitely
fine by
seems
me
like
as well.
more of a
Um,
regular person. You know what I mean? It
so
seemed like his
I think
first
that's pretty
time.
much how it happened, right?
Yeah, that seemed like his first time. Fish Tank was his first time doing anything sort of online centered. I was surprised to learn that he was a Christian too. I didn't know that. I watched the first maybe like couple of hours when Fish Tank first happened, and then I was like, skipping through the cameras, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for the clippers, for the people that take the clips of the good parts and post those because, 24/7 show. I'm like, I don't have the time to watch this, but yeah, it was some of the clips I saw were really funny from that show. So I didn't get to catch his antics, like you said. I didn't get to see like anything of his. So I'm pretty unfamiliar with this stuff, but yeah, I saw the video you did with him, and I saw Jay then brought him on, and it was just a funny time, man, funny time. But other than that, when I announced this show, some of my friends were really excited about it, and they were telling me, "Oh, his videos on Oriental Orthodoxy, really helped me decide, my position on monophysitism, deiphysitism, and sort of the difference there." For people that don't know, so a lot of people are being introduced to Orthodoxy through YouTube, through the internet, and they like it, they're getting into it, and then all of a sudden they discover Oriental Orthodoxy, Ethiopian Orthodoxy, these other churches that use the term orthodoxy, and it might be a little confusing to them, to not understand the difference. So could you sort of break down the difference between where, like, are these different churches? What's the difference there? Mainly, the main difference. You don't have to.
Yeah, well, of course we could get into like the in-depth aspect of it, but I don't think we need to. I do get into it on my channel, but
Mhm.
the basic idea, the basic story is that first of all, what uh, these people call themselves Oriental Orthodox most of the time in the English-speaking world. These are the Coptic, Syriac, Ethiopian, Armenian churches. Some of them are in the United States, right, and obviously in other parts of the world. of the world, and they are not part of the Orthodox Church. They're not in communion with the Orthodox Church. So that's kind of one of the first things you need to point out to people. Just because they have the name Orthodox doesn't actually mean that they're part of the same church, right? So people just think Orthodox, everyone who calls themselves Orthodox, they're all part of the same church. That's not really true, right? That is something that needs to be pointed out. And the term monophysite, that's a controversial term as well, because they don't like being called that, right? So they think it's kind of like an insult, or it means something different. um, Monophysite is an umbrella term, right? It doesn't really specify a specific Christological view. It's an umbrella term that covers various different definitions, and these various different definitions, they don't agree with each other, right? So it's the same thing with the term Diophysite, right? And monophysite just means one nature, that is, they believe Christ has one nature. Diophysite means they believe Christ has two natures. So Orthodox Christians are Diophysites. We believe Christ is in two natures, a divine nature and a human nature. Nestorians are also Diophysites. They also believe in two natures. Are we the same as Nestorians? We don't believe the same thing, right?
Right.
We think Nestorianism is heresy. So just like Diophysitism is a term it's an umbrella term, so is monophysitism. So there's Eutychianism, like they believe that Christ is a mixture. Orientals don't believe that. They don't confess that officially. They don't believe that. Um, and there is Origenistic Christology, actually, and they kind of, it's similar to a mixture view, where they think that there's a mixture between the two natures, and there's this kind of like this third unique thing that
Mm,
arises out of it. So that's a view that existed in the 6th century.
right. Okay.
And then there is there's miaphysitism, that's what they call
Mm,
view, where they say that just like the human nature is a combination of the body nature and the soul nature, they say that Christ is in the same way. It's a combination of the human nature and divine nature. When you speak of a union, this is their argument. When you
mhm,
speak of a union, it's strange to say that there are two natures after saying that the natures are united. If there's a union, it means becoming one. So there
mhm,
has to be one nature. That's what they argue. And when you speak of two natures, you're implicitly speaking about a division in Christ, which means that you're speaking about two persons in Christ. So they take that kind of like a radical view. But if you ask them, they will confess, yes, Christ is human, Christ is divine. But the way they reach that conclusion is what we as Orthodox Christians will say, well, the way you reach that conclusion is heretical, and the true conclusions are actually not the conclusions that you want to get. So that's how I will handle that issue. So
right.
it's a bit more complicated than what a lot of people give, because usually it gets pretty annoying for them as well, where it's, oh, you believe Christ is not human, and they're like, no, we believe he is human. We just, it's like, how a human being is of a body, nature, and soul. You don't say my body ate meat or something like that. You say I
Right.
ate the meat, because we speak about the combination, right? So that's the kind of paradigm that they use. And then the body soul paradigm is a paradigm that we use too, but the way in which they use is different, right? So I think that's kind of as basic as I can get on what their Christological view is. And I think the Orthodox view is, I think, simple enough, right? We believe that Christ is one person, but he is in two natures. He's fully divine and fully man, meaning that he has all of the divine properties and characteristics, right? He is omniscient, he's omnipresent, right? He's beyond all things, he's beyond the physical realm. And then in his humanity, he is, he's physical, right? He experiences the human things that we experience as well. So
Right.
that's the difference that we have from a basic level.
It's so surprising to see, that on the surface, right? I mean, they practice the liturgy, they call themselves Orthodox. There's so many similarities, but then when you get into the theology of it, that it really is two different things, and that definitely seems like it's confusing for new people coming into it. I think sort of publicly. Now I don't know about was it Armenian? What's the other non-canonical Orthodox? Is it Armenian or uh, you know what I'm talking about? The one I'm thinking of Rushvi when he became Orthodox. He was in another type of Orthodox church that wasn't canonical, and then eventually he
Are you
came
talking
around.
about Assyrian Church of the
Is that
East?
it? Yeah, I believe that's it. Yeah. So like that, like it seems like a lot of people they when they enter into Orthodoxy, it's easy for them to
Assyrian
sort of.
Church of the East is
Okay.
the Nestorian Church, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's sort of it can be very confusing, right? For new people to, when when they're approaching the church, if they don't know about some of the deeper theological topic subjects, if they're not well informed on that, and if they're coming from the internet, right? They you can end up thinking, oh, Orthodox is Orthodox, like you said in the beginning. Um, Obroth says, yeah, Armenian. Okay. Is that it? I always get this one mixed up because sometimes I say Armenian, then the Armenians get mad at me or whatever. But I don't know. But yeah, there's different types of Orthodox churches out there. Not all of them profess the same faith that we do. Not all of them profess the same Christ that we do. So as you said, with the Monophysites, it is a matter of Christology, right? It's a matter of how they understand the nature of Christ, which is so important. It might not seem like, it might seem like theological squabbling or something, but it actually is very important. What our definitions is, and like you said, like how do we get to the conclusion? So I think that that's really a good thing that your work does, where you go really in depth and sort of give the arguments, show the patristic writings. You really get in there and make it a lot easier for people to understand. So I think that's really good. And then you've done a lot of work with the Discord now. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because I've been in the Discord, the Orthodox Christian Discord, which is now almost up to 10,000. So that's amazing, 10,000 members. I've been in there for years, but I haven't really engaged too much over there. I have a couple of friends that are really like, into it. I haven't myself, so I'm not familiar with the story, of sort of how that all happened, how you got involved. So tell us a little bit about that. What do you do over there? Why do you do it? That sort of thing, and how you like it.
Yeah. First of all, sorry if it seemed like I was interrupting you. I think the connection, at least on StreamYard, is weird. I checked the stream and the connection, like your connection is fine on stream, but here it's kind of,
There's a delay.
I think there's a bit of a delay. So
Yep.
I didn't mean to interrupt you while you were speaking. So apologies. But on the Discord, well, yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, the basic story is that Jay Dyer started it, and it was kind of like just his own hangout, and there was like I think like just a couple hundred people. And at the time I was like very new, right? So it was a helpful resource for me, and I get to speak to the man himself, right, when he had his Q&As and all that. And over time I just kind of took it, just studied a lot of the aspects of the faith more seriously. I wouldn't say I was serious, but I wasn't as serious as I could be, if you get what I mean. So I took, I start to learn about the faith a lot more, just kind of like researching things that interested me. And over time, the Discord turned from like turned to just like an overall like a Discord where people could, speak to each other, ask about Orthodox resources, conversate about Orthodoxy, and learn about Orthodoxy and debate about certain topics. And over time, it's eventually I just got the Discord ownership. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just kind of like we just run things as a team, and we just like say, okay, what's the best way we can facilitate proper discussion? Because there's a certain stage you can't really control what people say, and this is a classic thing about big Discord servers, and this applies to every single one of them. At some point, like the big servers, you can't really control everything that people do and say because there's just too many people. And so the best thing you can make is just make guidelines and kind of just facilitate a proper culture regarding that. And I think, yeah, it's I think that's just kind of how I will see it. And yeah, as you said, I think we just need like 75, like a couple more people for it to be 10,000, which is, I guess it's pretty cool. But I think especially in these circles, I think the number one important thing is kind of just maintaining it, because because it's the internet, and on the internet, a lot of instabilities happen with groups of people, and just fights that otherwise will not happen just occur, and chaos ensues on these communities. People take themselves too seriously, or there's just a communication error, or any other issue. And so at some point it's kind of just like, okay, how long can we stay alive before, I guess, Discord clamps down on us, or like we just destroy ourselves. But there hasn't been any issue like that, particularly for a very long time. And I think that's kind of a testament to just the people that I have around me, I guess, and the people and what we try to do. It's not something like, because there's some people that say some stupid stuff. It's not like we're trying to like control people. I think the last thing you want to do with a big Discord is try to control people. It's literally impossible. You can't do it. There's too many people. There's too many voices. It's nearly impossible. The best thing you can do is facilitate discussion and help people and guide them. That's the best you can do, and that's basically what we try to do. And it's just something I do whenever I have the time to check in and you know throw a couple of opinions myself. But I'm pretty much, I just let people do their own thing most of the time.
Well, I think it's really helpful to have a place like that, and I know, just for my friends that have been very involved over there, it's a really great environment for newcomers to come and to learn about deeper theological, topics related to Orthodoxy. I mean, this is, you know, something that a lot of people are interested in. And in the Discord, you not only do you have this sort of archive of all of these books and PDF files, right, for all of these amazing Orthodox books that people can read, but you also have really knowledgeable people over there that can, like you said, engage in conversation and can help, guide people on the right path. And of course, as you said too about the numbers, yeah, anytime you have a large community, there's going to be that danger zone there where people can come in and there's a lot of slow boys out there, and sometimes people are very zealous when they first find out about Orthodoxy, but it's this head thing where they're on this, like, they have something in their mind and they have I don't want to say an agenda because it's not like they're paid to do it or something, but they have something that they want to be the case, and so they'll fight for that, as opposed to sort of the Christian paradigm of submitting our will to God, submitting our will to Christ, and submitting to the church, right? Instead of trying to sort of be the boss and pick and choose for ourselves. No, no, this is how I want it to be. I've heard, horror stories like that from the Discord. In fact, we did a stream the other day, probably about 2 months ago, where one of the people that hates Jay Dyer, what Reason and Theology, that guy Michael Lofton, he did this whole expose about Jay from this one guy from the Discord, and he's like, look, a member of the inner circle is exposing Jay, and it was just like some kid from the Discord, and he's saying this is inner circle. But basically the whole story with that is that, I talked to Chase Haggard about it, and he said, this kid came in and he seemed like a good kid, so we tried, being friendly and helping him out, and then he just sort of started preaching heretical things and started falling off the deep end, and he would be corrected, and then he would do it again and again and again. And so, like you said, you can't control what people say, but you definitely, if it's an Orthodox Christian Discord server, well, we should be, the promoting Orthodox Christian theology, right? We should be helping people to learn about that, and very clearly that's what you guys do. So I think it's a really great service that you're doing. And yeah, there's always going to be those bad apples. There's always going to be people that don't get it or have their own motives. But I think by and large, like, that's a really, really good work that you guys are doing. Just from my experience there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to consider. I mean, we're all Orthodox Christians. The team. We're all in good standing with the church. We don't really have the time to like control people and what they think. I think it's just ludicrous. And yeah, I think what we always say is like we don't tell people, pay Discord Nitro, and that's what you should do. No, we tell them to go to the Orthodox Church, become Orthodox, be baptized or be chrismated, right? However, the bishops can receive you, and um, and just take part in the Orthodox life. That's basically what we say. And a lot of these people try to make it something different, make it into something different. But the thing is, we've never said something like that, and it's just some stuff that people make up. And I think a lot of it at the end of the day is just noise online. I personally don't really bother with that kind of stuff. I think it's just kind of because people who listen to that kind of stuff and just like actually get ideas about that kind of stuff, well, they're not really going to be serious people anyway, right? So why would you waste time on people who have this kind of a disposition, even if you explain them the full story? As you know, if you spent your whole day explain, because that's kind of what I did with some people, and I most of the time it just didn't work because they already had a disposition where they've already set their minds and they're not really willing to listen to reason. That's why I personally, I know there's a lot of people who love doing debates, and it's pretty useful. It was pretty useful for me at a certain point in my life, but I don't do a lot of them personally because I don't really see any benefits of it counter to what I already do, where I can just, okay, here's the information, here are the arguments, do what you want to do with them. If you're gonna like just not listen carefully and just respond to with stupid responses, then have fun. But if you're going to listen to it and take it seriously, and you're going to become Orthodox, go to an Orthodox church, and you know use it for something positive in your life, then yeah, similarly be my guest. And that's precisely what I want people to do. That's all I want people to do. So I think the reason why people have these kind of crazy views is because they had this image of like this, oh, this guy who does these things online, this is the kind of a person he must be. And I think it's just really strange. But um, I will know, as I said, my main focus is just kind of like, okay, make the arguments, do the videos, and then just let people decide, right? At the end of the day, that's kind of just how I see things at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, we need that. We need people who are knowledgeable, who are educated, and who can exposit these things and really make it clear and understandable. And I think you do a really good job of that. And definitely, as you said with the debates, like that was very helpful for me too. I know ironically, there's a lot of debate about the usefulness of debates, whether or not they're effective, or whether or not they're good, or whether or not we should even bother with them at all. But for me and for my conversion, debates were massively helpful. They helped me to see the foolishness of secularism, of materialism, of agnosticism and atheism, and they also really helped to demonstrate the strength of the Orthodox Christian position. And I mean, just how rational, reasonable, and logical it is. Not that it's only rational, not that it's merely rational, but that there is a level where it is true and it can be understood by our rational brains as the truth. So I think that debates are really helpful for that. And I think they get a bad rap because people realize that a lot of these debates that are happening, you're not going to argue somebody into the faith. You're not. I've tried this in my own life. You're not going to argue people into the faith. You're not going to usually lay it all out, like you said, lay it all out, make it clear and airtight, and then they say, okay, I'm gonna believe that now. A lot of people just don't do that because they have this sort of skin in the game, if you will. They're committed to the pot, so to speak, and it really is this change that happens in their heart over time that brings them to God. But the debates that happen aren't for the other person debating, they're for the audience. And a lot of times the audience is who is getting the most out of these discussions and debates. Yeah, if Jay debates a Muslim, the Muslim probably isn't going to stop being Muslim, but the people in the audience very well could learn things and can be affected and change their mind via listening to that. And I think that's really where the effectiveness and the usefulness is. What else? I did want to ask you about how you became Orthodox Christian. Were you born Orthodox Christian? Were you Protestant beforehand? What was your path to the church?
Yeah, well, I wasn't ever religious. My first religion was Orthodoxy, and well, I went with the highest quality one, basically. Um, I mean, I think my story is kind of just it's very standard, like secular background kind of a story. Just didn't really care about religion, didn't really have, was atheistic at some points, or agnostic theist, mostly agnostic, right? And then at some point, I kind of took it more seriously, life experiences, so on and so forth. And when I had the opportunity to go to an Orthodox church, I took that opportunity, and I'm happy I took that opportunity. And I've been an Orthodox Christian pretty much since, well, I've been baptized Well, I've been Orthodox Christian since 2018. I've been baptized since 2019. Um, so it's a very classic. I think it's still a journey, right? It's still something that happens, still something that moves on. You learn new things, you change as a person, and um, I think it's just kind of like this actual genuine transformation that it doesn't happen instantaneously. I kind of thought it will be instantaneously, but it's very slow, but it does happen. And if you want to actually be an Orthodox Christian, then you really have to go through that transformation, and you have to you fall over and over again. You'd make huge mistakes, and you learn that you have to get up over and over again. It's not about, okay, um, can I stop falling? It's about, okay, can I keep getting up? And you have to kind of continue to do that. And that's one of the things that my priest in the United States always said. It's about, like, you fall, okay, get up and keep moving on, because that's the struggle of a life of becoming an Orthodox Christian, and maintaining that faith. And aside from that, it's kind of my specific thing. I tend to be very interested in the logical side of things, about things that I'm, things like this. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see that Orthodoxy has this very strong, in-depth historical and just historical and in-depth metaphysic. And I just love reading about it. I just love thinking about it. I don't theorize about it. I just love thinking about it, and kind of just see it unfold before my eyes. And that's kind of one of the things that I like to, that interests me. And there's a lot of different aspects of the faith that interest other people. And one of the things that I don't like to see a lot of people have is, a lot of people kind of just, they say, okay, there's all of these legitimate paths, but I don't like these paths. These paths, I'm going to say, you shouldn't take. Only a few select people should take. And I'm going to have really high standards for these kinds of people, and people should only really take these paths that I take. And I think that's a wrong view. I think there's a lot of roles that people can fill in and play, and these are all very important roles that people can fill in. And I think denigrating any of these roles is, I think, denigrating the path to the true faith, the path to, eternal life and salvation. I think it's just very unnecessary. And the one recommendation I will have people to do is just kind of like, don't do that. If someone is very interested about, like, just chanting, don't say, why are you so focused on chanting? Someone's really focused on the theology. Don't tell him, you should just go pray more. I mean, maybe he is praying. How do you know that he isn't? You're just assuming, right? If someone just likes to kind of just think about the mystical stuff, and he doesn't like the logical stuff, etc., okay, let him be, right? Let him enjoy that aspect of it, because that's what he is attuned to. I think each individual person has their unique attunements and dispositions, and allowing that to be expressed is an excellent, beautiful thing. So that's kind of how I see um,
Absolutely.
that, kind of
Absolutely.
like the various different roads, but it all goes down to the same path, right? It all ends in the same conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that's so true, and I think a lot of that stems from the sort of online problems that can arise, doing the internet. People love to critique and point, and say, well, that's not how I do it. You should do it like me or whatever. But these are things that, are between a person and their spiritual father, right? I mean, like, that's the person who should be guiding. If he's in the church and he's communing and he's not a heretic and he's got the proper, he's got the faith, he's in the faith, he's in the church, his path, whether it be, like you said, all these different sort of paths that we can walk within the church, that's between a person, God, and their spiritual father. And I think that I can 100% agree with you there. We have a great question in the chat. White Lightning asks, can you convert to an Orthodox church with a similar ethnicity to yours? Specifically, can Polish people join the Ukrainian Orthodox Church? They used to be one nation. So there's a lot of confusion there with how there's a Russian Orthodox Church and there's a Greek Orthodox Church, but the canonical Orthodox churches are all one church, right? And I have heard of issues with Greek, specifically with Go Arch, where a lot of these parishes will actively try to push people out or not welcome
Mhm.
them because they're not Greek and they want to keep it Greek. But in my experience, I've never experienced that. I'm in Row Corps, and we never have that. We have all different ethnicities. So the faith is not an ethnic thing. It's you can absolutely convert. Anybody can convert. We're brothers in Christ. We're not brothers in our race. David, would you like to answer that?
Yeah. So the way I see it, I mean, originally jurisdictions are you don't really originally you're not really supposed to be able to choose what jurisdiction you're supposed to be in, right? It's just if you were born in X country, then you're in the nation of X, and there's only going to be one church that's going to have jurisdiction over that country, and that's just it. That's just the case. Now, there are certain canonical complications like the United States, and now we have in Ukraine. But aside from that, that's the general idea is that you don't really get to choose your jurisdiction. Choosing your jurisdiction based on your ethnicity, I mean, that can help guide you, but that's not really how you're supposed to choose which church you're supposed to go to. My go-to advice for people in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in different parts of the world where there's different jurisdictions, don't look at them as jurisdictions. If are they Orthodox, right? Is it an Orthodox church? Yes. Okay. If it's an Orthodox church, if it's a canonical Orthodox church, then the next question you should ask yourself, okay, which parish, not jurisdiction, but which parish is going to be the best for my spiritual development, right? Now, the church, when I was in the United States, the church I went to is not the most super based church I've ever seen in my life. It's not where I'm going to be able to go there and, we're going to be talking with the priest about how the earth is 7,500 years old every single day and like all of these base topics. But that's not what I need. That's not what I needed at the time. What I needed was a proper community being guided in the Orthodox mindset, or what people call phronema, learning about the faith in terms of the liturgy, right? How the liturgy is done, because it was done in the English language mostly, right? Speaking to the priest and understanding, asking certain questions to them, being able to speak to them about certain issues, right? And being engaged in the parish group. These are the things that I needed. I didn't need these base things, right? And in the base regard, I mean, sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. And again, there's always going to be pluses, there's always going to be minuses. And I think some minuses are being very overblown by a lot of people, where they kind of have to just look at these things that, okay, what do I need? What is this parish going to be able to give to me? What am I going to be able to give to them? And the one that where you can have the best proper relationship, that's the church you go to, right? Maybe it might be the nearest church to you. Maybe it might be the one that's 30 minutes away from you by car or by walking, if you're that lucky. But that's the basic idea. That's the way people should be looking at this, right? Not the, okay, what's the best jurisdiction, or what's the jurisdiction that's closest to my ethnicity or something like that. No, it's about, again, what's going to be able to do the best for me, and what am I going to be able to do the best for them, what's going to be for the most benefit for both of us. That's how people should be looking at. Because I know there's a lot of based parishes that are very difficult to deal with. Maybe they might have difficult people, or maybe you go to the priest, you explain something you did, and he's going to be very strict with you, and then maybe that's just not going to be beneficial for you, right? And he's going to say, "Well, you wanted me, right? Okay, you want the based, Orthodox experience. Okay, you did this very small thing." 6 months, no communion. Enjoy your life, right? And that might not be what you need, because I know in Arizona, because that's where I was in, there's the famous monastery, right? St. Anthony's. And there's some people that go to that monastery and they do confessions, and they get massive, they get massive penalties, right, from the priest. No, you got to do 500 prostrations. I can't even do 10. Well, 500, right? That's what people, and is it, you wanted me, right? I mean, that's, you wanted to come to me, you wanted to be under my obedience. This is what I'm going to. Are you going to be disobedient? Well, maybe you should have taught better. And that's kind of the lesson that you get when you go to places like this. So we really get the authorities that I think we deserve at the end of the day. And what we should really be, this is going to be like the stoic meme, but you should really focus on what you can change. The best thing you can change, and the most important thing you can change about in life is yourself ultimately. and that's what you should be focusing on. So that's basically, I'm not saying that you should stop being based or you should stop having the right views about certain issues. I'm not saying that, right? What I am saying is that you need to kind of understand a proper relationship between these things. And like, for example, one of the things that my church that had a con, it had pews, and I don't like pews, but I think there's a lot of bigger issues that you could have than pews in the church. So I think that's the perspective that I have on these things. So I'm not really super rigorous about
Yeah.
these kinds of things.
What? But
But
the internet
and
told me you
and
were
I think,
rigorous.
if people can handle it, I think it's good to be rigorous if people can handle it. But St. Paul says, if you can't handle certain meats, then you can't. If you can't eat certain meats, right? He kind of gives this analogy. If you can't handle certain things, then you shouldn't give those certain things to these people. You should give them what they can handle. You should give them the burdens that they can handle. um, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, man. That's I fully agree, and you made a lot of good points there. Especially, you're talking about certain issues are more important than others, and I think that's just sort of comes down to human nature. I mean, we get so hung up. We want perfection out of things, and a lot of times when we discover orthodoxy and we discover the truth, well, then we expect the church and the parish to be perfect. We expect the parish and the people within it to be perfect, and everything's got to be 100% perfect, and it just doesn't work like that. And pews are a great example. I know a lot of people, we don't like the pews, but sometimes the church, like you said, that is best for you will have them, and yeah, you made a lot of good points there about the whole what people what's the word what people value. So if they have all of the right based opinions, like you said, you know, they might value that, but the like you said, the community and the actual what we don't always know what we need, right? We think we know what we need. We think we know what's best for us, but at the end of the day, God knows what we need, and we have to have the faith to know that we're gonna get what we need, and yeah. So I definitely, I got lucky in my life. Finding a church that had a lot of great views and had a lot of great, like the priest had a lot of great opinions and stuff, but he's also a very humble, gentle guy that is really good at shepherding people and leading people, in the faith. And I think that 100% is more important than if your opinions align. If you got the same opinions or whatever, or if this is a person that can actually help you repent, help you put away your sin, help you kill the old man. I think that at the end of the day, that salvation and that salvific work, that's what we're doing. That's the point. That's why we're here. And so, yeah, I did want to ask you a little bit. And again, everybody, if you're just getting here, sorry about the delay. There's a little bit of a delay. That's why there's a gap between, and we might accidentally talk over each other, but it's not too bad. But what do you call it? I wanted to ask you, what do you see as the biggest issues facing the church right now? Like, obviously, we've been talking a lot about ecumenism, and I am constantly amazed by how many people there are who are ecumenist. I mean, just online looking at these different videos by people. I cover a lot of the haters and stuff. I cover a lot of these people and try to refute what they're saying. But you look in the comments and it's just filled with people that are ecumenists, and like it's definitely not being overblown. People think that we're overblowing. We're not. Like ecumenism is a real problem. Is there any other issues that you see that are like really that we really have to be mindful of and watch out for, or speak a little bit about ecumenism or whatever?
Yeah. Um, the biggest issue, in my opinion, this is going to, I'm, I, I really, if anyone else said this, I will really dislike them, because I will think that, oh, they're just running away from the question and they're trying to give this mystical spiritual answer, right? But it is true. I mean, it is true. Remember what I said earlier. We get the authorities that we deserve, right? We get the rulers we deserve, we get the bishops we deserve, we get the priests that we deserve. Because it is ultimately all in the providence of God. God ordains these people. God is who gives authority to these people. God is who allows these people to have power. And if these people have power over us, there is a lesson that we must learn, right? Maybe we are not ready for someone that is going to save us or something like that. Maybe, someone that's going to save us is going to come and we're going to be the ones that's going to end up crucifying him. And I've seen that attitude, you know, from especially since the meme, um, how should I say, the meme 91 event, if you know what I mean. Especially that era, right now that we passed it, especially since then, I've seen a lot of people that will otherwise be, in the right about a lot of these things, suddenly doing 180 degrees and, being a total bootlicker and just willing to throw people um, out for being against the spirit of the age, right? People themselves that you will think themselves are against the spirit of the age, suddenly doing 180 degrees. I've seen it happen a lot of times, and it made me realize, okay, we're the ones, maybe we're the ones who are the problem. And that's kind of, I think, the number one problem with Orthodox Christianity is Orthodox Christians themselves. If we were the kinds of people that Christ wanted us to be in this life, that will be for the for the benefit of ourselves and for others, I think everything will be much better in our lives in some regards. Maybe things will be more difficult too. I don't know, right? But it's all up into the providence of God. But what I see is that a lot of the people, a lot of us, we don't really deserve the based world. We don't really deserve um, the epic, God emperor figure that's going to save our country, or we don't really deserve the, super powerful, epic, saintly bishop that's writing 600,000 really great theological dissertations about every single issue and converts like 10 million people. We're not really ready for these kinds of heroes of our time. And the heroes that we get are very subdued, and they're, monastic saints, and they're teaching us, the message that they teach us right now in our age is very consistent. It's about, it's about silence. It's about interchange of heart. It's about understanding that you're the problem and transforming your life and to be the change that you want to see in the world. It's very cliche. I'm sorry. It's very standard, but I, at least currently, I genuinely believe this. Like, I'm not saying this just to like be cool or mystical. I really do believe this is the case, and it starts with ourselves. So once we fix that, I think ecumenism and all of these other things, I think that's gonna solve itself. That is really going to solve itself. And I'm not trying to take away the responsibility from the culprits. They are responsible, right? These people are responsible. They are doing bad things. And there are certain people doing excellent things. I'm not taking that away from these people. I'm just thinking that maybe we kind of have to focus on ourselves. It sounds a bit lame, but I think
No,
that might be for the betterment for all of us. That's
no, it
kind of
doesn't
my general
doesn't
take
sound
on
lame at
this.
all, man. That's 100% true. I mean, that's the Orthodox response right there, right? I mean, the problem is us, and it is within us, and that's that's what we're here to do, is to work on ourselves, right? To walk away from sin, to embrace Christ, and to walk towards virtue, to walk towards God. And for sure, I mean, that's one thing that I've noticed a lot with converts and stuff. When you first become Orthodox, the view is always external. It's always, oh, I got to convert these people, or I got to tell my family, or I got to tell my friends, or I got to get these people. And then slowly but surely, your gaze is turned inwards, and you start to see the evil inside yourself, and you're like, oh, this is the problem. Like, there's so much evil and darkness within me. And before, I was a Christian, I thought that it was the world that needed to be fixed. I thought it was the world that needed to be, put into line, but it's actually myself that's out of whack. So that's 100%. I mean, that's a great answer. People might not like it, but that's definitely a great answer. I One thing that I'm not certain I agree with you on is that it will fix itself. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think I agree with you there, but I think that I don't see it going away. I don't see the whole push towards ecumenism because it has funding behind it, because it's funded by people that are trying to sort of attack the church, if you will. I don't think it's gonna like just sort of like go away. I do think that it doesn't ultimately matter because, like you said, if we're doing the actual work, if we are the people that Christ wants us to be, then that's not going to pull us off the ladder, so to speak. That's not going to take us away from Christ. They can't rip us from God, right? They can shoot the arrows at us, but if we're actually there with God, then it's all right. But I don't see it just sort of like going away. I don't see them being like, okay, we're done. I think that this is the move. I think that they're definitely pushing to sort of bridge Rome with Orthodoxy to create this sort of you know one faith or whatever. But I think that your response is the proper response we should have, which is that at the end of the day, like this is what matters. We need to do the work because whether they shoot that arrow or they shoot a different arrow or they shoot 10 arrows, if we're doing the work, then then we're on the right path. And so yeah, 100%. And so much of Orthodoxy seems to be like that. It's not the bombastic answers that everybody wants. It's very meek and humble and unassuming, and it's hard for people to recognize. Like they say, it's hard to recognize holiness, or for some of us, it's hard to recognize virtue in a sense. We expect something to be big and flashy and shiny, but that humility really is. So much better than anything like that. Yeah, great answers. Trying to think. So let's see. I guess I apologize. I don't have a lot prepared here. What are some of the channels that have you seen any good ones lately? I'm asking you sort of as in a selfish way to see if there's any channels I don't know yet. But what are some of the people that you appreciate the work that they're doing, whether it's online or authors or anything like that?
Well, what are some channels I appreciate? And if um, well, let's see. Well, I mean, I appreciate. There's a lot of people I appreciate, like the channels and authors that I read and some figures. I think main things that come to my mind: Jay Dyer, Father Peter Heers. I think those are two big ones. Father Cosmas from Orthodox Talks, pretty good. Other than that, Father Spiridon. I mean, there's some I might end up forgetting, but I think generally speaking, Father Josiah Trent, I think there's a very strong group of clergy and figures that do an excellent job at speaking out against the evils of the modern world and also the evils in the Orthodox world that occur, right? Unfortunately, and these are the kinds of people that we need, and we also need to support, and we also need to kind of listen to, even if you don't agree with everything they say, right? Because there's a lot of people that I really appreciate, some of the things that I don't really necessarily agree with, right, on some issues, but I I think it's about kind of being a little mature, is kind of just understanding, okay, certain things you might not really agree with, but it's inconsequential at the end of the day with some regards, right? Whereas there's some really big issues that you're speaking out on that you have to say, okay, these are the people that we really listen to in our times. And um, I think that's pretty much how I understand. And one thing I kind of have to say, is that I kind of have to I kind of had to go pretty soon, so I think it will be pretty good to wrap it up here. Sorry for kind of just like abruptly um, asking for this, but is that fine with you?
That's fine. That's totally fine, brother. Anytime, totally get it. Honestly, like I said, I sort of ran through my questions in my head, so it's a great place to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody, please go subscribe to David Airhan on YouTube and join the Orthodox Christian Discord server. Well, anything else you want to
Ye-
plug? You can plug before we go.
what else I want to plug? Well, mainly just yeah, my channel, the Orthodox Christian Discord server. I also have within the link tree in the description below. There's also an link to my the the one I have, Precept Gang. That's my Discord server as well. You can also join there. And yeah, just thanks for listening to me. Thanks for watching. And sorry for kind of cutting this a bit too early, but I'm down to do. Another stream at another time because to give an idea to people listening to this, it's for StreamYard is being really strange for some reason. Like on the stream on YouTube, everything is completely fine, but like on my end, you're lagging a lot, and sometimes very difficult for me to understand. So it's kind of like it was actually a very big challenge for me, but I think I understood the most important parts.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You did.
that's
You
that's
did
beneficial.
great.
But yeah, there's like a lot of lag, and like you make a comment and like I make a comment afterwards, and like it seems like I'm interrupting when I wasn't trying to do that, or like it seems like you're interrupting me when you weren't trying to do that. So I think in a different time,
Okay.
and I will definitely like to have that where we can set aside some of the technical difficulties. I think we'll have a much better stream as well. But I think this one was pretty enjoyable for me as well, and yeah, there's some pretty useful things here and there.
Thank you, brother. All right. Have a good night. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I will. I'll probably stick around for a little bit after David takes off. But that was awesome, dude. Thank you so much, David. If you hear this, I feel bad. Yeah, we were having some technical difficulties in the beginning, so um, really apologize for that, David. But thank you again so much. And I think it went good on my end. I saw you were answering the questions, so
Hmm.
I think after at the end of the day, I think it went good.
Thank you. Yeah, you're still lagging on my end.
Hmm.
I mhm. Yeah, you're still lagging on my end a lot. Like it's like I'm 100% serious. I could not understand anything you were saying in like the last like 15 minutes. I like StreamYard was really difficult. Like I couldn't understand the questions, but I couldn't understand nearly anything. It was really difficult, and like there's a lot of like delay. I think it's just kind of like StreamYard is just being really strange.
Hmm.
But it's pretty clear your connection is fine. My connection is pretty fine because the stream was pretty fine throughout
Yeah.
because I could see it from like I checked it at some point. It was like totally fine. So for that reason, I think we should definitely do a stream another time. But I think the stream was still good. So you know,
All right. Have a good night, brother. Okay. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I was trying to sign him off, but the technical difficulties were just too much. They're just too much. But no, that was a good conversation. Honestly, he did a really good job maneuvering with that because if it was that bad on his end, I couldn't tell. I could tell there was a delay, but I could not tell that he was not being able to hear it. So he did a great job with that. So thank you so much, David. If you're watching this after the fact, seriously, thank you. I'm sorry that couldn't have a better working out. But like John MC says, 8,000 miles apart. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a little bit of difficulty sometimes with the internet. So hey, you got to expect it. And yeah, I think we maneuvered it pretty well. I hope everybody's doing good. One second, we got people coming out, so I'm just gonna hit the mute real quick. All right, I'm just muting because, like always, y'all, we're on the porch, so we got some people walking through. So I'm just gonna hit the mute again real quick. All right. Yeah, you know how we do it here. Professional, very, very high class professional streams here. Yeah, guys, I've got a big stream coming up that I've been working on for a little while now, all about the charismatics. We're going to be doing sort of uh, a hybrid, not really a cringe stream, but kind of a cringe stream. We're going to be watching some of these Pentecostals and charismatic pastors and all that, and talking about the history of it, sort of giving a response to it, and just sort of giving my take on it. I've been writing notes for that for probably 3 or 4 weeks now, so I've just been looking for a good day to do it. So it could be very, very soon. It could be a week from now, but keep an eye out for that. And then what else we got coming up? I hope you guys really liked that Father Peter here stream we did, because that was so fun. Man, that was so fun. Made by Jimbo says, "Why is it that you never debate?" I think about doing it all the time. Andy asked me to debate when I first met him. 2 years ago, he was like, oh, you got to do a debate. He was trying to set up debates with me and somebody else. I don't know, man. I'm just, I'm not. My knife isn't the sharpest, so to speak. I mean, I could probably do it, but I'm like a little hesitant. You know what I mean? I'm a little hesitant, just because I don't want to make the church look bad. I don't want to make the faith look bad. And also that then it comes to finding somebody who I think the debate would be fun, right? That it would be good. That would be good, and finding the topic that I'd be good at, right? So it's just kind of it's how it goes, man. It's kind of tough to find like a good topic, a good debate opponent. But I guess I'm sort of just making excuses. I feel like there's just better people out there at it than me. But yeah, Rachel says I think you have to enjoy debating. I do. That's the thing is I do in my personal life. I do. I have arguments, debates with people in my family, friends. Like, we'll go for hours debating on stuff. Like me and my ex, man, we used to debate theology like for hours at a time. Um, so I don't know. I think there's a part of me that does, but I'm just not set on that being part of the online work that I do. But I may if the right opportunity presents itself. I think you have to enjoy suffering. Yeah, yeah. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there. But yeah, I was really honored to see Father Peter took a clip from that show that we did and posted it on his Twitter and on the Orthodox Ethos YouTube channel. I couldn't believe it. It's such an honor, and I thought that show went really good. So, hope you guys like that. And massive shout out to our patrons. You guys seriously are helping keep me alive, dude, because work season's coming to an end. So, I have been getting less hours at work. So, thank you so much, guys. That means the world to me. And everybody that comes here and uh, talks in the chat and engages and all that. It means so much to me, guys. So thank you so much for that. I'm trying to look through my notes and see what other shows we got coming up. Other than that, I've been doing so much freaking work on this charismatic stream. I couldn't believe it. I just sort of fell down this rabbit hole of faith healers, and it's just insane. So you know, it's pretty rough. So just be prepared to see some rough stuff on that one. And Tapio says, Christ is risen. First time catching the stream. When do we get to super chats? So at the end of the show, if anybody does send in super chats and has questions, I will read them. Today we only got one super chat, and there wasn't a question a part of it. Let me pull it up real quick. The person asked me if I got it, and I said I did, and then I said I would read it at the end, and she's like, don't worry about it. So I'm assuming if she didn't write a message in there. So, some shows we do good on super chats, some shows we don't, but either way, I just do this for fun anyway, so at least all good. Let me just log in real quick and see if anybody else sent any so I can catch that before we wrap up. But yeah, I felt bad, man. When we started the show, I could see that StreamYards was sort of glitching out. So I was like, oh no. Oh no. But you know what? I think we pulled it through at the end. Yeah, here, let me post the links again. And yeah, thank you for being here. Tapio, first time I've seen you in here. All right. So yeah, guys, what else is going on today? I'm checking to see if any of our friends are streaming so I can promote that. I'm glad, man. And too, I'm so off of my usual schedule right now. Like, it's 2:15 where I am right now. I usually don't stream until like 8 o'clock at night. So when we were working out the schedule for this show, I was like, oh no, oh no, noon. I don't want to do a stream at noon. And then I'm also worried I'm going to be streaming over Jim Bob too. Last time I did a noon stream, I accidentally streamed over Jim Bob. So yeah, I've been thinking about doing that too, like setting up a time slot. You know what I mean? But I'm just not consistent enough for that sort of thing. I don't think. I don't think I'm consistent enough to keep on a time slot. But yeah, much love, everybody. I think that's all I got right now. But I am going to be probably hopping back on within the next day or two to finally kick off that charismatic stream because I've been pushing that back too long. So until next time, guys, have a good night. God bless you all. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had. And everybody keeps telling me about Father Cosmas. I got to reach out to him. So I think that would be a good guest. If you guys have any guest requests, any ideas, any people you think I should talk to, shoot me a message and let me know. And other than that, guys, that's all I got. God bless. Peace out. Much love. And until next time, see you later. Peace.